Hey everybody, Chuck Niemer here, and we're into our next video here where we're looking at the drivers of supply chain transformation. And what we mean by drivers are what are those things that are pushing us to transform and why. And so we'll look at those. As a reminder to everybody here, let me pull my screen up here. The reason we're doing this is to I'm allowing myself to get some practice in to make sure I understand what I'm talking about as I prepare for the CTSC exam. Hopefully, as you're studying too, by engaging some of the videos and just thinking about the comments, it'll help your understanding too. Not that you don't understand or anything, but that challenge back and forth of Chuck said this, I don't know if I agree with that. I think of it this way. Those things help you lock in on your study and make you and I individually for our own exams more confident. So I think it's fun that way to bounce it back and forth and hopefully get some comments back from you. As always, of course, not using any of the ASCM PowerPoints in this conversation at all, as well as reminding you that this is a Chuck opinion, Chuck interpretation. And so you have to decide what's going to be important for yourself on the exam. But hopefully the back and forth helps us as we go through this. So let's come back to this whole idea of drivers of supply chain transformation. The idea behind drivers is what's pushing us towards needing to change. And so this first section we look at and says, well, let's look at the inside and the outside, the internal and external context of what drives us to change. And one of those things that can drive us to change is understanding our business. And so in the participant guide, we called it the business context summary. And the notes in there says it's a summary that's composed of the business description, challenges, opportunities, value proposition, critical issues, risks, financial performance, internal structure, external profile. And so understanding those 9 things can certainly bring to light things we may have taken for granted, things we've thought about. Maybe it gives us a better understanding of the whole business that we wouldn't have had before. And we go, that's why I should be considering change. And so that business context summary does that. Segmenting the market and customers by their delivery needs can also help us too, as well as understand what are they willing to trade off and what are they not. So we group the customers into similar characteristics by these delivery needs. And in there, we can go, oh, this is a bigger segment than I thought. I'm not as strong in this area. I didn't realize it was this big. I need to go in and change our supply chain, perhaps, or strengthen it to be able to meet this need. So that can drive us for change. And when we look at those segments, it could be low cost, could be customers who are very erratic and have high demand variability, could be customers we've had for a long time, new customers looking for something new. And, I would say from a reference and studying test, I would go back to the Gatorna and Ellis text. That's what I found myself doing to talk about the different supply chains meeting the different types of customer segments that are out there. Cultures and capabilities can influence from the internal side. So defining culture, the participant guide said the set of important assumptions that you and I share together. It's the system of shared values about what's important, about how the companies work. And, these influence the way the company operates based on what we believe and how cohesive we are in our beliefs and shared beliefs. The challenge, they say, is the underlying assumptions behind it, it being these different elements of culture, because those typically are assumed. They aren't spoken out loud. A lot of times we can't speak to them because of fear of problems back at work or taken serious or whatever, however we look at business. But the assumptions that go behind it are probably the things we hear are just the tip of the iceberg, and the assumptions sit underneath. And that can give us problems if we don't surface those out. The transformation is an opportunity to tackle some of those assumptions, bring those forth, build a more positive culture development, or improve upon an excellent culture, help sustain it more. And this transformation gives us a chance to collaborate as well as share ideas, explore them with others, and see what we can build out of that. Another driver for the transformation, we talked about it early on, building a sense of urgency with the various stakeholders we have. And Kotter in his book talks about that in his book Accelerate, the need to rapidly transform into new ideas and then bring them back into the organization and work to make them stick. So that's another driver of change. Okay. Again, Gatorna talks about the 5 different subcultures that go with the 5 different supply chains, which go with the 5 different segments of customers. And so aligning the supply chain more effectively or correctly, it can be a driver to transform as well. Technology certainly, and using analytics to predict or describe or prescribe what we should be doing. Technology is certainly changing us. We're seeing that already. Putting together a supply chain prioritization matrix. So we're putting together a chart of what's most important, what's not. We've got the 4 quadrants. Where's the quick wins? Where's the longer term wins? Where are the low risks and the high risks in the 4 different categories? And figuring out where we can get the high leverage quick wins first would be something we would look at. Mapping out our partners in the channel, customers, suppliers, that can give us insights because we can learn who customers are buying from if we do our homework properly, as well as who our suppliers are working with, and that can drive us to change as well by understanding that better. And certainly the costs involved in running our business when we look at the total cost of ownership and we realize, oh my goodness, this aspect over here in transportation was way more than I thought. And warehousing parts over here is costing us a huge amount of money. And we may not be getting the sales out of it that we thought. So we have to rethink the configuration of transportation and warehousing that. So what are those things that drive us towards change or propel us forward and help build that sense of urgency into making this transformation happen?